It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in the middle, inside an enigma, man.
You don't have a choice anymore. You've become a significant threat to the national security structure. They would have killed you already, but you got a lot of light on you. Instead, they're trying to destroy your credibility. They already have in many circles in this town. Be honest. Your only chance is to come up with a case. Something. Anything. Making arrests. Stir the shitstorm. Hope to reach a point of critical mass. Well, that's the real question, isn't it? The how and the who is just scenery for the public. Oswald, Ruby, Cuba, the Mafia. Keeps them guessing like some kind of parlor game. Prevents them from asking the most important question. Why? Why was Kennedy killed? Who benefited? Who has the most power to cover it up? Who? Kings are killed, Mr. Garrison. Politics is power, nothing more. Oh, don't take my word for it. Don't believe me. Your own work. Your own thinking. The organizing principle of any society, Mr. Garrison, is for war. The authority of the state over the people relies in its war power. Kennedy wanted to end the Cold War in his second term. He wanted to call off the moon race and cooperate with the Soviets. He signed a treaty to ban nuclear testing. He refused to invade Cuba in 1962. He set out to withdraw from Vietnam. But all that ended on the 22nd of November 1963. An American naturalist wrote, "A patriot must always be ready to defend his country against its government." I'd hate to be in your shoes today. You have a lot to think about. You've seen much hidden evidence that the American public has never seen. You know, going back to when we were children, I think that most of us in this courtroom thought that justice came into being automatically, that virtue was its own reward, that good would triumph over evil. But as we get older, we know that it just isn't true. Individual human beings have to create justice, and this is not easy, because the truth often poses a threat to power, and one often has to fight power at great risk to themselves. People like S.M. Holland, Lee Bowers, Gene Hill, Willie O'Keefe, they've all taken that risk. They've all come forward. I have here some $8,000 in these letters sent to my office from all over the country. Quarters, dimes, dollar bills from housewives, plumbers, car salesmen, teachers, invalids. These people who cannot afford to send money, but do. These are the ones who drive the cabs, who nurse in the hospitals, who see their kids go to Vietnam. Why? Because they care. Because they want to know the truth. Because they want their country back. Because it still belongs to us. As long as the people have the guts to fight for what they believe in. The truth is the most important value we have. Because if the truth does not endure, if the government murders truth, we cannot respect the hearts of these people. And it is not the country in which I was born. And it's certainly not the country I want to die in. Treason doth never prosper, wrote an English poet. What's the reason? For if it prosper, none dare call it treason. The American public has yet to see the Zapruder film. Why? The American public has yet to see the real x-rays and photographs of the autopsy. Why? There are hundreds of documents that could help prove this conspiracy. Why are they being withheld or burned by the government? Each time my office or you, the people, have asked those questions and demanded crucial justice, the answer from on high has always been national security. What kind of national security do we have when we robbed our nation of their leaders? What national security permits the removal of fundamental power from the hands of the American people and validates the ascendancy of an invisible government in the United States? That kind of national security, gentlemen of the jury, is when it smells like it, when it feels like it, and it looks like it. You call it what it is. fascism. After I came back, I asked myself, why was I, the chief special officer, selected to travel to the South Pole at that time that any number of others could have done? I wondered if it was because one of my routine duties was, if I had been in Washington, would have been to arrange for additional security in Texas. So I decided to check it out. And sure enough, someone had told the 112th Military Intelligence Group at 4th Army Headquarters at Sam Houston in Texas to stand down that day over the protest of the unit commander, Colonel Reich. This is significant because it is standard operating procedure, especially in a known hostile city like Dallas. Well, that's the real question, isn't it? Why? The how and the who is just scenery for the public. Oswald, Ruby, Cuba, the Mafia. Keeps them guessing like some kind of parlor game. That's from asking the most important question. Why? Why was Kennedy killed? Who benefited? Who has the power to cover it up? Who? No one has said he must die. There's been no vote, nothing on paper. It's as old as the greatest fiction. Military firing squad, 5 bullets, 1 blank. No one's guilty. You don't have a choice anymore. You become a significant threat to the national security structure. It killed you already, but you got a lot of night on you. Instead of trying to destroy your credibility, they already have in many circles in this town. Be honest. Your only chance is to come up with a case. Something. Anything. Making arrests. Stir the shitstorm. Hope to reach a point of critical mass that'll start a chain reaction of people coming forward. Then the government will crack. Remember, fundamentally, people are suckers for the truth. And the truth is on your side, Bubba. I just hope you get a break. No jabs in hell. No. I'd be arrested and gagged. Maybe sent to an institution, maybe worse. You too. Now I can give you the background, but you have to find the foreground, the little things. Keep digging. Remember, you're the only person to bring a trial in the murder of John Kennedy. That's important. It's historic. You would have arrived days ahead, studied the route, checked all the buildings. Never have allowed all those wide open windows overlooking Dealey Plaza. Never. You'd have had our own snipers covering the area the minute the window went up. You would have been on the radio. We would have been watching the building, checking for baggage, cold under the arms. Never would have allowed a man to open an umbrella along the way. Never would have allowed the car to slow down to 11 miles an hour, much less take that unusual curve at Houston at Elm. You have felt an army presence on the streets that day. But none of this happened. It's a violation of the most basic code we have. It's an indication of a massive plot facing down. All these documents are yours. People's property. You pay for it. But because the government considers you children, you might be too disturbed or distressed to face this reality. Or because you might possibly lynch those involved, you cannot see these documents for another 75 years. I'm in my early 40s, so I've shuffled off this mortal coil by then. But I'm already telling my 8-year-old son to keep himself physically fit, so that one glorious September morning in the year 2038, he can walk into the National Archives and find out what the CIA and the FBI knew. They may even push it back then. Hell, it may become a generational affair, with questions passed down from father to son, mother to daughter. But someday, somewhere, someone may find out the damn truth. We better, or we might just as well build ourselves another government. Like the Declaration of Independence says, when the old one ain't working, just a little further out west. In the past, those who foolishly sought power by riding the back of the tiger ended up inside. I speak neither from false provincial pride nor artful political flattery. For no man about to enter high office in this country can ever be unmindful of the contribution this state has made to our national greatness. Its leaders have shaped our destiny long before the great republic was born. Its principles have guided our footsteps in times of crisis, as well as in times of calm. Its democratic institutions, including this historic body, have served as beacon lights for other nations, as well as our sister states. For what Pericles said to the Athenians has long been true of this commonwealth. We do not imitate, but we are a model to others. In your hands, my fellow citizens, more than mine, will rest the final success or failure of our course. Since this country was founded, each generation of Americans has been summoned to give testimony to its national loyalty. The graves of young Americans who have answered this call to service surround the globe. Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history, the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking His blessing and His help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. Tennyson wrote, "Hardly forget the dying king." It's never more true than for John F. Kennedy, whose murder was probably one of the most terrible moments in the history of our country. We the people, the jury system sitting in judgment on Clay Shaw, represent the hope of humanity against government power. In discharging your duty and bringing the first conviction in this house of cards against Clay Shaw, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Do not forget your dying king. Show this world that this still is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Nothing as long as you live will ever be more important. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest serves the best of all mankind, and its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why? Some say the moon. Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too. We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change. For I have sworn before you and Almighty God the same solemn oath of our forebears prescribed nearly a century and 3/4 ago. The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. And yet that same revolutionary belief for which our forebears fought are still at issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. We dare not forget today that we are the heirs of the first revolution. Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans, born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed, and to which we are committed today, at home and around the world. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and success of liberty. This much we pledge, and more. It's up to you.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. It's a mystery. The mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma, man.
This advertisement was authorized by Nightware.
Well, that's the real question, isn't it? The how and the who is just scenery for the public. Oswald, Ruby, Cuba, the Mafia, keeps them guessing like some kind of parlor game. Prevents them from asking the most important question. Why? Why was Kennedy killed? Who benefited? Who has the most power to cover it up? Who?